today we're talking about being happy with our job. And before we establish being happy with our job, we probably ought to talk about being happy with ourselves. We're talking about being happy with our jobs. Are you happy when you go to work? Do you stay happy? And are you a contributor to somebody else's happiness? If not, you ought to be. The entire main motivator for my wanting to become more vocal is the establishment or the recognition of the founding of this country was founded for three reasons. Live and let live. I will say it again. Live and let live. Life, being free, are you hearing me? And pursuing happiness. That's for we the people. And if you are relying on they, the government, for living and letting live, and for freedom and being free, and for happy and spreading happiness, you're far behind. The entire premise, the entire foundation of the nation in which we live is for you to be a pursuer of happiness. Happiness is provided in your life by the happenings that that make up your environment. You are more in control of your happiness than you've ever wanted to admit it. And you are more in control of governing bodies than you ever want to admit it. Now, that can be a big ship that takes a little effort, a little while to turn. We're not talking about that today. And we never talk about politics on this podcast, and we never talk about religion on this podcast. Yes, we do talk about government, and yes, we do talk about Jesus, but politics ruins the reality of the founding premise of government, and religion totally distorts the image of what's intended to be made clear to humanity about Jesus Christ. So those are a wash here. There's very few places that I have control, but in this control room, we are in the Tussey Music and Entertainment TV studios. This is the audio studio. Welcome those of you live via Facebook, and welcome the real cams. Got those going up for productions later. And I'm having a little bit of, because I don't have a producer. If you would be happier with a job being a producer, you need to call me or contact us at realgarytussey.com or realgarytussey@gmail.com. This camera is really overloading with the audio signal, but it's got a great picture, if you don't mind me saying so. All right, so we're talking about your job. You're going to work in a little while. Are you going to be happy with it? I started working the first time that I ever really remember working. I mean, really working. And I got paid a quarter for doing it. I went with my father to paint. My father, and another podcast, I'll talk about his work path. It was very interesting too. Today I'm going to talk about my work path. My father, he did work in a factory at the time I was 10 years old, but he would do side work painting until eventually he went on his own with some partners and started a painting firm. Well, I was and am the oldest of three siblings. Dean Tussey was our father. And I loved going to work with my dad. I would go with him on the weekends if he worked, and he went on the weekends to work a lot because he had a regular factory job at Union Camp in Sharonville when Union Camp was in Sharonville. They've moved to, I think, Centerville, Ohio now. But Dad would work there all week, and then at night and in the weekend he would paint. I would go with him. I loved painting. Well, I'll never forget it. 10 years old. Somebody said, you can't work at 10. There's a lot of people you can't convince that you can work. You can if you've got a mind to. Anyway, of course, I didn't know anything, but I loved learning it. And Dad, even at 10 years old, let me climb up a step or two with a little bit of paint in a pail. And that's still how you want to paint. If you're painting, cutting in, and doing trim, you don't take a whole bucket and carry it around. You put a little bit of paint in a pail, and it's less energy for you to carry that much, and it's less hazard if you should happen to spill. But I was on top of this. It was a 4-foot step, and I was a little bit ways up it painting. And next thing I know, what do you think a 10-year-old boy's going to do? I fell off of the ladder, and as it tipped over, the bucket went with it. And as I hit the ground, bam, I caught the bucket and the brush. And Dad looked at me then and said, said, son, you're going to be a painter. And to this day, I mean, we paint our own homes. I lead that. I love painting. I love painting. That was at 10 years old. Then at 12 years old, Dad moved us from Cincinnati to Kentucky. And Dad, by this time, was completely self-employed. And his first job here was as a painter. But then as he was painting, he did side work as a carpenter, because his real, true, Dad always said it like this, as a teenager, he got sawdust in his veins and it never got out. That happened for me too, I suppose. But at 12 years old, Dad would work down in Kentucky as a painter, and then we would, my first experience in construction was Dad building his own home in Kirksville, Kentucky, which is where there's a concentration of Tusseys in Kirksville, Round Hill, and Poozy Ridge. And that's where Dad came back home, got us established there. My first experience with driving a nail, which I say my attempt at driving a nail, I wish I'd kept that board. You don't think about it as a child, but I had all kinds of nails bent over, and I don't know that I ever drove any one of them, and I don't know really how much good a 12-year-old boy was. My brother was 9, my sister was 2, so I and my cousins basically helped Dad build that house. His brother would come down from Cincinnati and help him, but and then he did hire one helper by the name of John. I think it was John Newman. This is a long time ago. Great man, and I will always honor the men and women who make a job get done. That guy, he was great. He was of Irish descent, a tremendous carpenter, and helped Dad immensely building that first house. But I, as a boy looking back, I realize now, looking back, it wasn't a chore for me, and it did make me into what I am today. My teenage jobs basically were, first of all, working for my father. So I worked for Dad. He had his own construction company, but I also worked a farm for Coleman Tussey, which I didn't, well, I say worked a farm, worked with them on a farm. And man, I could tell you about the experiences there, but I enjoyed it. First off, I enjoyed working. Hopefully, I'm talking to people today who, if they're going to be happy in their job, the first thing they do is they enjoy working. They enjoy moving. Your body's created to move. Your body's created to produce. When you go to the website, realgarytussey.com, you'll see the first line on there is Real Gary Tussey, created by our creator to create. And that is not unique to me. That's yours to set in if you want it. And you're not going to be happy unless you do. Again, we're living in a nation whose premise and foundation is we the people pursue life and freedom and being happy. And these are no accident. Well, you spend the majority of your time at work. I mean, 1/3 of your day is at work. I mean, statistically, 1/3 of your day you sleep. The other third, what are you doing with that? We'll talk about that another time. And is it productive? But that 1/3 of your day, you need to be happy in it. Am I right? I'm right on that. And there are things you can do to contribute to happiness. One is, do you like what you're doing? Are you doing your dream job? Have you been in it long enough to know I don't want to be in it anymore? Well, I read you some statistics on the last podcast. The statistics on the last podcast read that unemployment's at an all-time low in every spectrum. Every race, creed, and color is at unemployment is, and gender, I might add, is at an all-time low. There are more jobs available than there are people to do them. This is a great time for you to pick and choose what you want to do. And if you're unhappy, my prayer goes out to you. If you're unhappy, a lot of times unhappiness in the workplace is stemmed from being unhappy, period. And like we said before, you can't climb a fence leaning towards you, and you can't kiss a girl leaning away from you, and you can't roller skate in a cow pasture, but you can be happy if you have a mind to. Happiness is conditional upon your environment, upon your happenings. What's happening in your life? That is not joy. That is not peace those are things that are much deeper and far more seated in you. You can have those things and still know, as a matter of fact, those would help you know that I'm not happy with other things. And if you're not happy with your job, then, and I'm probably talking to some people right on target this morning. That's usually how it goes. If you're not happy with it, it is a good environment right now to begin to pursue what you want to do in and with your life. This country is founded on the premise of we the people, not they the government. And if the reality of we the people ever takes hold in you, you will also become very sober with the thought of me the person. So I can contribute to society, my family, people I walk with and talk with every day by my being my own country to begin with, my being my own, taking charge, contributing to my own destiny to begin with, not being a victim. Not being a victim. Let me say that again. Not being a victim. We've got to understand that if everything's out to get you, that there's a little bit of adjustment needs to take place there. Because when I say, hello, I'm Gary Tussey, and I eat adversity for breakfast while it's still crunchy, because I have to. If you wait till adversity gets soggy in your life, that's a hard pill to swallow.